I stand before you as president of a nation that is determined and proud, and yet anguished and incomplete. Although the Israeli people have been overcome with emotion, seeing 7 of our daughters at last emerge heroically from hell, still 90 Israelis and foreign nationals remain in Hamas captivity. We are anxiously waiting 6 more to be freed this week and awaiting all others. I call on all representatives in this General Assembly, all who consider themselves part of the civilized world, to throw your weight to ensure our hostages return to their homes, every single one of them. Bring them back home now. A relative of mine took part in these foundational processes. Sir Hirsch Lauterpacht, the uncle of my mother Ora, was a proud Jew whose family perished in the Holocaust. He served on the team that prosecuted the Nuremberg trials against Nazi leaders and officials who plotted and executed the greatest genocide in the history of humankind, the genocide of the Jewish people, the Shoah. Professor Lauterpacht helped establish the International Court of Justice, later serving on its bench as a judge. The man who saw with his very own eyes in the Nuremberg courtroom the cruelest of human beings, the Nazis who annihilated his family and sought to erase his people, this man was also the one who first formulated the legal definition of crimes against humanity. He did so out of deep faith and hope that the international institutions will forever be committed to preventing these heinous crimes from ever happening again to the Jewish people or any other people, and committed to delivering justice for the sake of all humanity. The sigh of our hearts, our loved ones, women and children, rather than fulfilling its purpose and fighting courageously against a global epidemic of jihadist, murderous, and abhorrent terror, time and again this assembly has exhibited more bankruptcy. International forums and institutions, such as the International Criminal Court, opt for outrageous hypocrisy and protection of the perpetrators of the atrocities. They blur the distinction between good and evil, creating a distorted symmetry between the victim and the murderous monster. I ask you, how is this possible? How is it possible that international institutions, which began as an anti-Nazi alliance, are allowing anti-Semitic genocidal doctrines to flourish uninterrupted in the wake of the largest massacre of Jews since World War II? How is it possible that the moral compass of so many in the family of nations has become so disoriented that they no longer recognize the clear truth that just as terrorists use civilians as human shields, they also weaponize the international institutions, undermining the most basic fundamental reason for their establishment? How is it possible that the same institutions established in the wake of the greatest genocide in history, the Holocaust, are manipulating the definition of genocide for the sole purpose of attacking Israel and the Jewish people? In one of the darkest days of the Holocaust, November 3rd, 1943, Rabbi Clonimus Kalman Shapira, the Rebbe of Piasetzno, was murdered by the Nazis in the massacre known as the AQ1E. Shortly before his death, the Rebbe composed a special prayer for his people, for our people, the Jews, who were at the hands of the murderers, the Nazis, and their accomplices. Here at the United Nations General Assembly, as President of the Jewish Democratic State of Israel, I wish to recite this prayer for the urgent return of all our sisters and brothers who are held in brutal captivity by murderous terrorists. The hostages are enduring subhuman conditions without essential primary health care, without Red Cross visitations, without any compliance with international law, treaties, or agreements. When my cousins marched to their death in front of me, Gogol recounted, ריבונו של עולם, האזינה לכל בחיינו ולענקת ליבנו. ראה את צערנו ועוניינו, והושיענו ממצוקתנו הגדולה. קרובי נפשנו, נשים וילדים, אבות ואימהות, אחים ואחיות, ושאר אחינו בני ישראל, נעקרו מתוכנו, הם לוקחו בשבי, ועקבותיהם לא נודעו. היינה אתה, אל שדי, מגינם של כל השבויים, שמור עליהם מכל צרה וצוקה, תן להם כוח לעמוד בעינויים, ואמצא להם חיות, למען יזכו לשוב אל משפחותיהם. אמן.
"80 years since the Holocaust end, anti-Semitism is still with us, fueled by the same lies and loathing that made the Nazi genocide possible. And it is rising. Marginalization, discrimination, expulsions, and murder. The history of the Holocaust shows us what can happen when people choose not to see and not to act. And the Universal Declaration of Human Rights prescribes that every individual and every organ of society shall strive by teaching and education to promote respect for these rights and freedoms. Each of us must answer the call, denounce lies, resist hate, and ensure our common humanity overcomes division. These causes are at the very core of the United Nations. We will never forget, and we will never waver in that fight.